Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Happy day to you. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning here in Northern California. I understand some of you are not so lucky. I hope that you're all staying warm. Over Christmas break, Pasha and I watched a movie called I Feel Pretty, starring Amy Schumer. And if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, I am going to talk about what happens and ruin the ending for you. So you have been warned. Even if you haven't seen it and you watch this, I still think you should go watch it because it's a great movie. It's very funny. But underneath all the laughs, I think it's a great story with deep meaning and important lessons. It's about a girl played by Amy Schumer who doesn't see herself as pretty as the other girls. And she puts herself through all sorts of torture to turn herself into what she has idealized as beauty. And one of those forms of torture is going to a SoulCycle spin class. By the way, as a side note, I love to spin, but have you been to SoulCycle? It's definitely a form of torture. It is a different kind of spin. It's not Peloton. It is definitely torture. Anyway, there she is spinning away when she falls off the bike and hits her head. And she's recovering from this accident in the locker room where she goes to look at herself in the mirror and she sees herself like she's never seen herself before. In fact, she can't believe that who she sees in the mirror is actually her. She keeps looking at herself. Looking in the mirror had always been an exercise in disappointment for her, but not this time. This time, she looks at herself and is blown away at how pretty she is. Nothing about her, by the way, has physically changed. She looks exactly the same as she did when she walked into SoulCycle, but her view of herself, her perception, has completely flipped. So, she leaves that dungeon of torture, SoulCycle, goes out into the world and starts living her life as if, what if other people see exactly what I now see? She looks in the mirror and sees a beautiful woman. And if that's what she sees, then of course, that's what other people see too. And strangely enough, from her point of view, the world begins to confirm her self-perception. She starts noticing people reacting to her as if they see her as she now sees herself. Again, nothing about her has changed except how she sees herself, her own self-perception. Now, while she's under this spell, it's as if only the positive reinforcement of how she sees herself is what she pays attention to. None of the negative even registers for her. Someone may make a comment and she completely flips it and it just sort of bounces right off of her. She doesn't even hear it. Now, to ruin the movie for you, eventually she does have another head-banging accident and she goes back to how she was before. But there are some important lessons in there. And I encourage you to watch the movie. More important lessons, but they're not important to the lesson that I want to talk about today. So I'm going to leave those for you in the movie. Why is it that most of us, by default, skew toward a negative view of ourselves? Maybe I'm alone in this. Maybe I'm assuming that a lot of us think this way, but I think I'm probably right about that. Why do we skew toward negative? Why is our tendency to keep ourselves in check? Why is our tendency to keep ourselves smaller than we actually are, to keep ourselves less than who we've worked so hard to become? In the movie, even after her self-perception changed, her physical beauty was still subjective. People saw what they saw. Nothing had changed. People thought what they were going to think. But what became objectively attractive about her, what gave her magnetism, was the confidence that she had in herself. What if there's a lesson in there for us? What if we just flipped that switch for ourselves? What if we just made the decision that we're pretty great? We're attractive and smart. We're valuable. We're worthy. We're lovable. What if we just decided that that's where we're going to start? Just start from there. That's not arrogant or snooty or over the top. That's just accepting what our reality is. What if we just decided that when we look in the mirror, all that we're going to see is what's good in us and about us? Instead of looking in the mirror and picking apart what we see, we just simply acknowledge our own brilliance. What if we stopped downplaying ourselves? I wonder how the world might respond to us if we just assume the default position that we're great, that people like us. Of course people want to work with us. Of course we're going to be successful today. Of course they're going to hire me. Of course people want to hang out with me. How might our lives change if we started at least giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt before we cut ourselves down or count ourselves out. So here's a small little exercise that we can all start with, starting tomorrow, right when you wake up. I'm going to confess that when I wake up in the morning and I walk into the bathroom, I start my day going, oh my God, what is this? Maybe you've never done that, but that's how I do it every single day. What a terrible way to start your day. Did I expect to wake up looking like a supermodel? Did I think that sleeping mask and the Invisalign were beauty enhancers? It's ridiculous. It's silly. Now, I don't know if I can start the day with a Stuart Smiley declaration. Remember him from back in the day? He looked in the mirror and he would say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. I'm not sure I can make that leap just yet, but maybe I can at least look in the mirror and smile and not start the day with self-criticism. Actually, I think that would be a really great way to start the day. Just don't start with criticism. Just welcome yourself back into the world in the morning with a smile. Other people are going to see what they want to see when they look at us. That's just the fact. They are going to look at us and make their assumptions about us and who they think we are. But that's their business. That's none of our business. So there's a comedian named Max Amini. He's very popular in the Persian community. I'd never heard of him, but one day Pasha says, hey, Max Amini's coming to San Francisco. I want to go to his show. And so I went along. And Max is the kind of comedian who picks people out of the crowd, talks to them, and he builds his show around what they give him to work with. Well, guess who got picked? Yes, the really white guy sitting close to the stage. He sees me and starts making assumptions about who I am. He says to me at one point, you look uncomfortable. Are there too many immigrants here for you? And makes all of these assumptions about what someone who looks like me is supposed to be. Until I let him know that I'm at the show with my husband and I'm married to a Persian man and we've been together for 15 years. That changed everything. That changed the entire crowd. They were sitting there thinking, they too were thinking that I was someone I am not, until that came to light and the whole room shifted. They were not expecting that from my hillbilly corn-fed ass. That's just not what they expected. People are going to see what they're going to see. I didn't have to do anything to give them that impression about me other than just show up. They're going to see what they're going to see. And we have every right to surprise them. What matters most is who we are and what we see in ourselves. So let's get up every day and choose to see our greatness. By the way, I've linked a couple of the videos from that show in the description. Don't watch them at work unless you're wearing headphones if you work at that kind of place. And until tomorrow, may you have joy, peace, and happiness, good health and well-being, a life of ease and prosperity, the courage to get what you want from this life, the clarity to know what that is, the imagination to not sell yourself short, and the discipline to see it through.